Welcome back to Narrations. This is a story about kindness, not the easy kind that comes naturally, but the kind that must be chosen again and again. It's about being seen before you're ready, about the quiet courage it takes to show up as yourself, and about how one child can change the emotional landscape of an entire community simply by existing honestly. This is the story of wonder. August Pullman has spent most of his life hidden. Not because he wants to be, but because the world has taught him that being seen comes with consequences. Auggie was born with a rare facial difference that required numerous surgeries from the time he was an infant. Hospitals, recovery rooms, and careful medical routines shaped his early childhood more than playgrounds or classrooms ever did. For years, Auggie was homeschooled by his mother, Isabel. At home, Auggie is safe. He is funny, smart, imaginative. He loves science, space, and Star Wars. He wears an astronaut helmet not just because it's cool, but because it gives him control, a way to decide when the world gets to look at him. Inside the helmet, Auggie can disappear. Outside it, he cannot. His parents love him fiercely, but in different ways. Isabel hovers, protective, nurturing, always ready to step in before the world can hurt her son. Nate, Augie's father, tries to balance seriousness with humor, using jokes to soften moments that feel too heavy. And then there is Vaya. Augie's older sister has grown up in the shadow of hospitals and emergencies. She loves her brother deeply, but she has learned to make herself smaller so he can take up the space he needs. Her needs are often postponed. Her emotions quietly managed. When Augie's parents decide it's time for him to attend school for the first time, the decision feels monumental. Not because Auggie isn't capable. Because the world isn't gentle. Middle school is not designed for difference. It is a place where curiosity turns quickly into cruelty, where staring becomes judgment, and silence can be just as painful as words. Auggie doesn't want to go. He knows what happens when people see his face for the first time, the double take, the forced politeness, the discomfort that lingers too long. But his parents believe that hiding forever will cost him more than facing the world. So Auggie agrees, reluctantly. On his first day at Beecher Prep, Auggie walks through the halls feeling every pair of eyes turned toward him. Conversations pause. Whispers ripple. Some students stare openly. Others pretend not to look at all. Neither feels good. His teachers are kind, but kindness can't erase discomfort. His classmates are uncertain, unsure whether to approach him, unsure how to behave. Auggie tries to act normal, but normal feels like something everyone else understands instinctively. 3 boys are assigned to show him around. Jack Will is friendly, easygoing, and open in a way that feels genuine. Julian, however, is sharp-eyed and immediately cruel, masking insecurity behind sarcasm and superiority. Charlotte tries to be polite, but her kindness feels distant, rehearsed. Auggie senses quickly who might be safe, and who will not be. As the days pass, Auggie learns the rhythms of school life, classrooms, lunch tables, group projects. He wants to disappear at lunch, terrified of sitting alone, terrified of choosing the wrong place. When Jack sits beside him without hesitation, it feels like a small miracle. Friendship doesn't arrive fully formed. It builds slowly, through shared jokes, mutual interests, quiet moments where Auggie forgets to brace himself for reaction. With Jack, Auggie begins to believe that maybe, just maybe, he can be known for who he is, not what he looks like. But middle school cruelty rarely stays contained. Julian begins a campaign of bullying, notes, whispers, mockery disguised as questions. Teachers intervene, but the damage is done subtly, persistently. Auggie feels the weight of being the kid everyone knows, even when no one knows him at all. At home, the strain shows. Auggie withdraws. Isabel worries constantly. Nate tries to reassure him with humor. Vaya watches quietly, struggling with her own feelings of invisibility, as the family's attention once again centers on Auggie. Vaya loves her brother, but loving him has always required sacrifice. As Auggie navigates school, the story widens. We begin to see events through different eyes: Via's loneliness, Jack's fear of social exile, even Julian's insecurity fueled by his parents' inability to teach empathy. Each perspective adds depth, revealing that cruelty often grows from fear, and kindness requires courage. Augie's biggest heartbreak comes unexpectedly. He overhears Jack saying hurtful things about him, words spoken not from malice, but from pressure. Still, the pain cuts deeply. For Auggie, it feels like confirmation of his worst fear, that friendship is fragile, conditional, easily broken. He retreats again. The helmet comes back. Trust feels dangerous. And yet, this is only the beginning of Augie's journey, because wonder is not just about surviving cruelty. It is about how people choose who they want to be when faced with someone different. It is about the quiet decisions that shape character, one moment at a time. Auggie doesn't talk much after what he hears. The words loop in his head, replaying themselves at the worst moments, while brushing his teeth, while lying in bed, while pretending to listen in class. Jack's voice, careless and defensive, hurts more than Julian's cruelty ever did. Julian never pretended to be his friend. Jack did. So Auggie pulls back. At school, he stops sitting with Jack at lunch. He keeps his head down, answers questions only when necessary, and disappears into himself again. Teachers notice the change, but they don't understand its cause. From the outside, it looks like shyness returning. From the inside, it feels like betrayal settling into place. Jack, meanwhile, is confused and panicked. He doesn't understand why Auggie has shut him out until it slowly dawns on him what must have happened. The realization hits hard, not because he was caught, but because he finally understands the weight of what he said. Jack didn't mean to hurt Auggie. He meant to protect himself. And that knowledge is worse. Jack tries to apologize, awkwardly, sincerely, but Auggie isn't ready. Forgiveness feels risky. Letting someone close again means giving them the power to hurt him twice. As the school year moves on, tensions rise. Julian's behavior escalates, becoming more overt and more cruel. Notes circulate. Jokes land harder. Teachers intervene again, but Julian's parents defend him fiercely, framing cruelty as honesty and difference as something to fear. The adults fail loudly. The children are left to choose for themselves. During a school trip, everything comes to a breaking point. Away from teachers and familiar routines, the social hierarchy shifts. Auggie and Jack find themselves targeted by older kids who don't know them, and don't care to. The bullying turns physical, frightening, real. And something unexpected happens. Students who once stayed silent step in. Not all at once. Not heroically. But decisively. They choose Auggie. They choose to stand beside him, to say enough, to make it clear that cruelty will no longer go unanswered. In that moment, Auggie realizes something quietly powerful: kindness doesn't always come from the people you expect. Sometimes it comes from people who needed a reason to be brave. Jack fights back, not with fists, but with loyalty. The apology he couldn't fully express before is made real through action. Auggie sees it. He feels it. Trust begins to rebuild. Back home, the family is changing too. Via steps further into her own life: friendships, theater, first love. For the first time, her story doesn't orbit entirely around Auggie. And while guilt flickers, something else grows alongside it: pride. Auggie begins to see his sister not just as someone who sacrifices, but as someone who deserves to be seen. Their relationship softens. They talk more honestly. They laugh more freely. They learn how to exist beside each other, not in competition for care, but in shared understanding. As the school year nears its end, Auggie feels different. He hasn't changed physically. The stares haven't disappeared entirely. But he has learned how to endure them without disappearing. He has learned that friendship can survive mistakes, that kindness can spread quietly, and that being seen doesn't always have to mean being hurt. At graduation, Auggie sits among his classmates, no longer separate. When his name is called for a special award, Recognition not for perfection, but for character. The room rises. Applause surrounds him, not out of pity, but respect. Auggie stands, overwhelmed, unsure where to look. And for the first time, he doesn't want to hide. He understands something now that took an entire year to learn. He was never meant to blend in. He was meant to be known. Wonder is a story about choosing kindness when it would be easier to look away. About understanding that everyone is carrying something unseen, and that empathy, real empathy, is an action, not a feeling. It reminds us that courage doesn't always look like confidence, and that the bravest thing a person can do is show up as they are and stay. If you enjoyed listening to this story, please like the video, share it with someone who loves movies like this, and subscribe for more narrations.